Good morning, everyone, and welcome back from what was hopefully a very relaxing reading week. So we are now starting on week 8, which is our very first week of restaurant design. So as a very brief introductory lesson, we will start with a quick intro into what is design, what are some of the trends that are happening, and kind of take a look at some of the spaces that we'll be designing. So first of all, just to recap the course, for the last 6 weeks, or 7 weeks I should say, we discussed the menu. At this point now, we are kind of putting the menu portion of this course to bed. You have already went through everything and been tested on it. As far as the major project is concerned, you should not have any difficulty now creating a menu for your major project. We went through the mission statement, how the menu can affect the actual physical layout of your kitchens, how it can affect your target market, and some of the differences between commercial versus non-commercial and the chains and franchises and independents that are out there. What I have here is just a couple designs. Now, these are a few of the restaurants that were considered top 10 in restaurant design. So this one here is the Amo restaurant in Hong Kong. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I want you to start thinking about this when you're doing your design. Have an image in your mind of what it might look like. Now, we'll be designing, as you probably realized from the training session, from a bird's eye view, which means that we're going to be looking down on it from above. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have some sort of idea of what the place will feel like and look like. This one here being very industrial looking with lots of pipes and... one second. Oh, sorry about that. My music was playing in the background. So this is a very industrial kind of looking place. This one here is the Design Bar in Stockholm, Sweden. Now, if you're looking at this, you get a lot more of a kind of a science feel to it, but as well kind of like a Super Mario kind of gamified kid feel to it. So again, it gives you an idea of some of the design components that you would have. This one here is Ozone Bar, and I get a lot of earth elements out of this. And you look at the bars and they're using different marbles. The floor looks like all tile. A lot of water versus earth kind of versions here. And again, these are the top 10 places from around the world. This one here is the Joben Bistro in Romania. Now, I think this is very much a science fiction, fantasy kind of feeling place. I don't know, so like it's almost, just Halloween just passed, so it kind of gives me a feel of Halloween, Harry Potter, just quite a different vibe to it. This one here was an old church that they have reformed. It's called Holy Food, which is a great name for it. And again, looking at this chandelier and the big windows, so you have a feeling of a church in here. So, which brings us to kind of the definition of what facility design is. So when it comes to a restaurant, it's the process necessary to plan an effective design for a food and beverage operation, which is the team, which is either your group or yourself, depending if you're working with more people. Some of the trends that are happening, because you need to know what's happening in the industry and what people want to see. The space requirements, and that has changed so much in the last year with COVID. And then also the food safety and sustainability, which also has changed quite a bit as well. So often what happens is we don't know where to start. So some of the main concepts that you want to start thinking about are, and some of this you might already know, is the spacing of your restaurant, how big or how small, some of the colors and the textures and lighting. And I know many of you already have an idea of what you are doing. And when you did that branding assignment and you came up with some pictures, those colors and textures should be shown in your restaurant as well. We'll look at flow of traffic and regulation spacing as the semester goes on, as well as the equipment needs and safety issues. Before we introduce any more of those, let's take a look at some of the trends that are happening right now. So one big trend, and I would even say it has kind of gone beyond the whole trend principle, and now is just more or less a way of life, is eco-friendliness or sustainability. We have a very large population in the world. We have a limited amount of natural resources, And now it's all going to be about efficiency in design. So how well do we use our resources to get the spaces that we would like? So while it may not be a trend, it's something that we need to know more about. And how do we adapt and how do we be flexible with these kind of things? So some of it could be how we use our water within our restaurant, using partial rooftop gardens, greenery, reusing water waste, eco-friendly materials. These are just a few of them. As an example here, you see a building that you might see in Toronto quite often. What happens is sometimes they'll allow their vegetation to grow. Great thing about this is that vegetation actually grows. It's a heat insulator, so it will keep it cooler in the summertime. It'll keep it warmer in the wintertime. And that by itself is a natural form of insulation, and it saves you money. Rooftop gardens can be successful, as well as indoor gardens using different lights. Our growing season is very difficult because it is fairly short, so it's not a year-round operation, which could be difficult. This one here is an eco-friendly restaurant called the Rustic Grenville. They have a much better climate to do this kind of stuff, but they are completely powered by geothermal and solar power and have a zero carbon footprint. And you can see this is one of their live walls. So this is all live vegetation. Great thing about that kind of stuff, and we have them here even in Barrie, the live walls, they recycle and filter the air. With the cleanliness being such a big trend now for everyone, and safety, having your own air filtration system that's natural in your restaurant might be something that really sets you apart. This one here is from Shanghai. It's called the Vantage Shanghai. And just neat thing about this is that every plant was removed for the building of this restaurant was used in either the building or transplanted elsewhere. So again, they're just trying to be great to Mother Earth. Another big one is architecture. And what we have realized is that often we are not given a space that is necessarily beautiful. So we have to choose how to make it beautiful from the inside. We can't all have restaurants in nature preserves, on golf courses, on the beach, or on the waterfront. Sometimes it's just in a downtown city and it's a concrete jungle. So what can you do to make it look better on the inside? So again, here's a couple of examples. This is the Bamboo Palace. Now, this is one fairly large open area, and what they've done here is that they've just used the bamboo in itself to kind of separate all their little eating areas. What's great about this is bamboo is actually quite sustainable. It grows very quickly. It lasts for a long time, and it's fairly easy to install. Next one here. So this was built to this was built inside of just a regular building, but to resemble that of a mine. So you'll see these are what we call Edison bulbs, and they're very much like kind of a telltale mining kind of light. Usually they have a big cage around them. They have these backlit windows that makes it look like you're actually looking out into some sort of top of the mountain view, which in all reality, these are just pictures, and they've used some really cool textures on the wall and ceiling again to give you that vibe. This one here hurts my eyes. It looks like you are in an aquarium, and that is what they were going for. It is a strange mixture of very like kiddie, but also fine dining. And as you can see, while it does look like you are maybe looking out into an aquarium or water, over here, that is the ocean line. So you are on the water, but you are not down below the water where you'll see fish swimming by. Not like this, which is just amazing. I'm just going to let this sit here for a sec so you can check it out. How cool is this? Right, so that's architecture. Another way of doing showing some of your concept is by the finishes. So you'll see this particular place has a lot of different unique finishes, including the lighting and the curved archways and the pillars throughout. Some people have some really neat seating options, as like this one here, with taking a flat space and being able to make it multi-leveled and multi-tiered. with a big, beautiful open kitchen in the background. And this one here is an open-walled beach-themed restaurant. Now, this is something that could be what your patio might represent if you've chosen the beach location for your major project. It's good for maybe 8 months anyways of the year. But as you can see here, they've used some half-wall dividers, again, pillars, lots of wood, makes it feel very beachy. Some really nice clean colors, so basically just neutral colors, and it looks like you're in paradise. And another big one that I want to talk about is restaurant trends. So restaurant trends for technology in particular. So we now, technology has increased the way that we buy things. The coronavirus has really kind of shown even more so how technology can replace a lot of the frontline workers or just the frontline operations. So some of this here is a little infographic that you can look up on later. It's basically the idea of what diners use and what operators use as far as technology is concerned in their restaurant. This will give you another couple ideas of either using robot chefs, having the tabletop ordering system in which you can just add on your own individual proteins and individual vegetables and order through there. This here is what we call a simulated environment, so you are not actually in this orchard or this valley or wherever we are here, but instead it's just all of these green screens or video screens that they're able to pull up and give you that feeling. So things like this in the future could be the way, as we are limited for space and natural resources, but we can definitely make you feel like you are in that space. Some of the major technology changes are, different ways to temperature check and make sure your food is safe. Digital inventory tracking, so you don't have to go through weekly and count by hand all of the food you have on hand. Rather, what you can do is just using your POS system or digital guns, you can go scan everything. Different payment tools and different ways of ordering through kiosks and tabletop tablets. Most of us can now go online and reserve a table without actually calling any kind of restaurant. We can do reservation tech like OpenTable. And of course, in the kitchen, we've also seen a lot more immersion blenders and robot KitchenAids and different multi-purpose kitchen equipment that eliminates the need for as much space as we used to need. And the final trend that I'll talk about here is the trend to celebrate all things local. So, fortunately or unfortunately, local right now, local small businesses in particular have been hit probably the hardest because a Walmart or a Costco or any Apple or any of these big businesses can survive months and months and months of losing money and still remain open. Versus a lot of our smaller businesses are paycheck to paycheck like many of us. So there is a trend to support local where we can. I think we'll see it even more, and especially coming out of this. Making sure that we purchase local ensures that our money stays in our community. So for every $100 spent at a local business, about $68 of that stays in the community. And that's in our pockets or the pockets of our friends who have businesses here. When you spend at non-local, and unfortunately those are the Walmarts and the Costcos, only about $43 stays in the community. Now that's a pretty big difference, $25, 25% of that $100 is the difference. Now, I understand that Walmart and Costco is cheaper. It will always be because they have the bulk buying power. But we can't always just go there because we get it a little bit cheaper. It has a longer term effect that we don't notice. So it's not immediate effect. We notice that we've saved a few dollars on our groceries, but the long term effect is that we don't have as high of a wage for everyone. We have higher rents. It's a bit of an issue for us. So where you can, when the budget allows, please shop local as much as possible. Sorry, I rambled on that one. Again, here's just a couple of different slides for you to review. on why shoppers say they prefer small and local retailers. These are some of the different options that they're looking for. This one in particular is letting you know why it's good for you to eat local, for the environment, for the economy, and for your health. If we're ordering all of our food from across the oceans and across the seas in different countries, what kind of chemicals are they putting in them so our bananas stay green before we bring them home? And our tomatoes don't mold and become, like, if you ever have a garden at home and you pull a tomato off the vine, you usually only have a few days before it starts turning bad. So what are they putting in these for them to last a month, 6 weeks? It's really something that probably shouldn't be in our body. So I'm going to stop it right there because that was 15 minutes or so. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. So this is week 8, part 1 finished. This is the 4 trends that there will be definitely testable questions on. Please keep these 4 in mind. These are not the only trends that are out there. These are the 4 strongest trends that really shape the way that restaurants are designed, but also the way that people choose the restaurants they want to go to. So go grab a coffee, go to the washroom, come back and watch the other section.